Hi guys, it's Mark Atwood here, Adventures in a Meat Suit. What day is it? Monday today on the 16th of November. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to talk you through some really interesting things that I've noticed. But before I get into that, I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially the people that have watched the interview I did with the comedian Alan Park in Canada, and everybody that sent him healing love yesterday on Sunday. I really appreciate that. I've not had a chance to catch up with Alan yet, but I know that he was very appreciative of the whole gesture, and it's fantastic. You know, this is what a community is for, right? I know lots of you are healers and distance healers, and if we understand, as most of us do, about how the quantum realm works, distance is no object. So thank you very much for all the feedback on the interview that I did with Alan. It was extremely touching and humbling. So thank you all for that. That's for everybody that's on my email list. If you are new to this channel and you're not on my email list, then if anything happens to this channel, then you're not going to be able to keep in touch with what I'm doing. I also send a lot of things out on email that are not necessarily related to what this channel is putting out. And, you know, I send people interesting links and things like that. So there's a link in the description below this video. Just go and sign up there. It doesn't cost anything. I don't spam you. I don't think I harass you in any way. But I do send you important, interesting stuff that kind of helps complete the story, really, because I've always got time to make videos like this. I'm making this one today. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, but I'm just guided to do it because everything I do is based upon intuition and guidance, and has been for quite a while, which reminds me of, I remember about 5 years ago, I was posting up stuff about the royal family on Facebook, and a guy that I'd done some business with was getting quite argy-bargy with me, and he said, how do you know that the royal family are lizards? I was like, and I sat there, and I also had there's a woman that came to one of my seminars 10 years ago who occasionally posts a little barbed comment on Facebook, and she said in the summer, you know, oh right, so we've got to grow organic vegetables and stand barefoot on the grass. Is that it? Is that how we combat this attack on our privacy and on our rights with the pandemic? And you know, I had to kind of answer yes, because you know, if you go back to the first poem that I put up on this channel, If 2020, my reworking of Rudyard Kipling's classic, which is just there behind me, there's the top of the pen. In there, I said it's a time of intuition. And that means that, you know, what does that mean personally? Well, I think everyone's got slightly different ways of receiving information from their higher self. Some people like JCK are incredibly visual. Me, I kind of feel it. I feel, you know, I get, you know, if I listen to something truthful, I get this rush of energy, and I listen to it, and it's getting stronger and stronger, and I'm listening to it more and more. And also I kind of know things. So there's things, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, I was getting downloads, and I was like, where are these coming from? And I was less conscious then, right? I was less conscious. I was drinking too much. I was, I wouldn't say I was obsessed with money, but I was very money driven. But I was bringing up 5 little kids and trying to hold my life together. And, you know, so this video is really about consciousness rising, right? So everybody's consciousness is rising, and it feels a bit disorientating. You know, in the last 5 or 6, well, in the last all year, I've been incredibly tired at certain points in the day, and I've had to go for kips, and that's not normally the kind of thing that I would have done. I've just, you know, go for a sleep in the middle of the day, and then you know, somebody out there might go, yeah, it's because you're old, Mark. Well, you know, maybe it is that, but I mean, I've always been incredibly high energy, an incredibly high energy person, to the annoyance of some people, but I really have. You know, I was quoting Doctor Who the other day, there's a line in The Talons of Wen Chiang, which is a classic Tom Baker story from 1975, 76, where he says, sleep is for tortoises. And I kind of spent my whole life thinking that basically if you're sleeping, you're missing out. You're missing out on life, which is probably why I've done so many things in my life, because I just, just want to take this life. And I kind of look back on my life and think, yeah, I was always in a hurry. Okay. But this consciousness rising is an individual thing, but it's also a collective thing. If you just look at coffee. Coffee, when I was a kid, was this horrible powder that tasted disgusting, and it was served in polystyrene cups that cost 10p for it, and it was gross. Nobody drank coffee. And then so look at coffee now; it's everywhere, and it's every different permutation you could possibly imagine, and it's now a high quality luxury product. Coffee is just one thing. I mean, look at CBD oil that is now available in places where only a few years ago it was totally illegal. So if you look around, the signs of consciousness rising are everywhere, but it's a little bit difficult to see when you're also surrounded by all this fear. And I've been I'm on a number of I'll just answer this call quickly. So yeah, I'm just recording a video. I will be free in a moment. That's JC. Okay, JCK's just done a live and wants to tell me about it. So consciousness, where was I? Yeah, so if you look around, you'll see that consciousness has been rising across the board, but the fear of vaccines are coming, Trump lost the election, guillotines being ordered in Canada, all the crap that's been going on in Australia, it can seem, very frightening. And I'm in a number of WhatsApp groups, and people are saying all sorts. I'm going to just pull one up. One this morning was like, it's quite a common theme, actually. I'm not going to read it out exactly. And the common theme is, look, I'm trusting the plan, but I need to start some executing of the plan. But actually, it's all around us. It's when you're actually affected by the fear state, that lowers your consciousness. Your field of consciousness gets lower, your vibrational frequency goes down, and that's when you get attacked. That's where I do believe, and I know actually it's not just a belief, it's a knowing that evil has already lost this situation that we're in. But it hasn't completely gone. There's still evil out there, and it attaches itself to low frequency, right? So this is why, back to stand barefoot on the grass, eat organic vegetables, etc. That's raising your frequency. Okay, so you're eating the light. If you're eating green organic vegetables, you're literally eating the sunlight. So this raises your frequency. I've known this for a long time, and it's been a long struggle for me. Fighting off demons really, nearly killed me. 2 years ago, I nearly died. I certainly thought very seriously about taking my own life. And I know a lot of you watching this would have been through something similar. We've all had long, dark tea times of the soul. That's part of the journey to get us to this point. And we've all been working hard. So back to being tired, I have been aware of the fact that I am working extremely hard in other realms, when I'm asleep, and people tell me that they see me in their meditations and their dreams, and all of this I can only hear now because I've worked so hard to try and get rid of my ego. You're watching me on a YouTube channel, you might think, there's a narcissist, he's on YouTube. Believe me, I'm not doing this for my health. I'm doing this because I'm compelled to do it, and I'm doing this because this is the time is now. And a lot of other people understand that, and they're doing it as well. But not all of us are here to be communicators. Some of us are here to go and knock on the neighbor's door and just make sure they're okay. That's all it takes. That's an increase in consciousness. But when you take these small acts on your day, instead of operating out of a fear base and hiding inside your house and wearing a mask when you go in the shop, don't do that. Go out and say, right, I'm going to go and check on Fred, see if he's okay. He's 85. Is he okay? Go and do that. Somebody sent me an email about that the other day, so I wanted to mention that as a good idea, because we need to be operating in the frequency of love. And, and I think the Greeks have like 16 different interpretations for the word love. So, it doesn't necessarily just mean sex. It means love for your parents. It means love for your children. It means love for your neighbor, love for your friends. Pick up the phone and tell somebody you love them. It's not difficult, is it? But when we're in a state of fear, things happen. So I call it clinging to the side of the swimming pool. So what that means is that I couldn't swim very well at all as a kid. My mum used to dunk me under the water when I was about 4, so I had a fear of water, and it took me quite a long time to swim. But I remember when I did start swimming, I was always holding on to the side of the pool, right? And then eventually I drifted further and further into the middle. Now, I think it's similar with but if somebody had come at me in the early days of me learning to swim, I'd have paddled back to the side of the pool frantically and grabbed onto the side. And this happens with people with their consciousness. If they get put into if they get exposed to an idea, or there's all this fear being pumped at them, then they will cling to the side of the pool in terms of going back to their programming. Okay, so a really good example of this happened yesterday on Facebook for me when I put up part 4 of the Full Cabal sequel, right? So there was Full Cabal, which had 10 parts. Janet, I don't want to get her name wrong. Let me just go and check her name because it's Dutch and I'm not great at pronouncing Dutch. Just give me a second. Janet Ozabard, right? Who is one of the true heroes of Earth right now, okay? And Cynthia Kota co-produced Full Cabal, right? The Fall of the Cabal, parts 1 to 10. And these had over 50 million views, okay? She has done more to wake up the world than probably anybody in history. And Janet, I personally am extremely grateful for the work that you've done. And you're continuing to do. She is a warrior of the highest order, and she's a scholar. And her documentary, Fall of the Cabal, was just brilliant, because it summed up everything that I've learned over the last 21 to 30 years, which got a boost. If you watch the interview I did with Alan, you'll know that he was the guy that introduced me to the protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion in 1999. And when I read those, I was terrified, right? And you should be terrified if you read them. But what Janet has done is she's done a sequel to Full Cabal. It's in 17 parts, but she's just released the 4th part. She's releasing them as she goes along. And the 4th part, funnily enough, I was talking to Alan last week about the protocols of the Elders of Zion. And then Janet brings out part 4, and she talks at the weekend, which is great synchronicity. She's talking about the protocols of the Elders of Zion. So, I emailed this out to my list, and I also put it up on Facebook. And I'm just going to share a screen to show you what happened on Facebook, because it is a great example of how we have to be vigilant about our consciousness, right? So whenever I've mentioned the protocols of the Elders of Zion in the past, I've always said, if you go online and look it up, you will see that it is referred to as anti-Semitic, right? And that just isn't true. It isn't anti-Semitic. It's just that that's how they've used it. Okay, so I'm going to read this quote out. Somebody said, "I'm not going to bother watching this. Whatever the truth is, I hope people are wise enough not to fall into the typical narrative of Jews are the problem everywhere in the world. I was born Jewish. No one I know owns any banks or plots against the world. Obviously, it makes sense to take a holy word and hijack it." Now, I fully understand where this person is coming from, and but I felt compelled to answer it because this is a great example of where we go wrong. So I said, look, this documentary explains how the Jews have been amongst the biggest victims. You're just paraphrasing the nonsensical cabal-controlled narrative by choosing to not watch it. There has never been a single post on this page which promotes hatred or division of any kind, and I encourage only free thinkers here. You might be in the wrong place. Now, I'm not picking on this person in any way, shape, or form, but I felt the need to say this because I've long known that anti-Semitism is just nonsense, right? It's used as a way of protecting these people. I mean, the state of Israel was given to the Rothschilds in 1919 in the Balfour Declaration, and this is the kind of thing that we all need to learn. So, you know, a whole country was given to the Rothschilds family, right? That's what you need to understand. Why? Why was it given to them? And it was given to them full of Palestinians who they then started exterminating, right? Which you should be horrified by. The whole world should be horrified by this. But because of this anti-Semitism and all of that kind of stuff, it's like an invisible wall around which you're not allowed to question. But if you actually go, this is actually the BitChute Full Caval channel, because obviously Janet's original YouTube channel got taken down. Some of her videos are popping up on YouTube on other people's channel, but on BitChute at the moment, if you go to this channel, then you'll see that all of her stuff is here and it plays fine. I'm just going to play you a piece of it now.
No, not necessarily. It only means they are connected. It only means the protocols were not new when they were published in Russia in 1905. They were not the minutes of a recent meeting between Zionists, as is claimed. But apart from that, one cannot draw any other conclusion. It would be a literary blunder to simply state that the Protocols of Zion were based on the work of Maurice Joly or Venedet or any other 19th century author. As a linguist with a degree in paleography, the study of ancient documents, I can assure you that most statements about the Protocols of Zion are incorrect. Like the verdict of the court case, which was based on a highly unprofessional approach of the matter. The problem with the Protocols of Zion is that they are surrounded by emotions. The people who study them are confronted with their own belief system, meaning, if you blame the Jews of the wrongs in the world, you will tend to believe the Protocols are genuine. You will use the Protocols as proof of the evil of the Jewish people. However, if you are Jewish, or if you lost your Jewish friends in the war, you will tend to believe the Protocols are a fraud made only in Russia in 1905 to make the Jewish people look really, really bad. We believe the Protocols of Zion to be very old. It seems to us that they were the source text from which the other books arose, not the other way around. Remember Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Order of the Illuminati? In 1776, he put together a document that gave a clear overview of the aims, convictions, and protocols of the Illuminati, or the Cabal, the do's and the don'ts. That was his assignment, as given to him by Rothschild. Did he put those protocols together from scratch? We think that's highly unlikely. What if the original protocols were given to him by Rothschild? Remember the Constantinople letter given to Adam Weishaupt by Rothschild? Make no mistake, the Rothschild family was incredibly powerful. They were direct descendants from the Khazarian nobility that had fled Russia in around 1000 AD. You bet they had many original documents and protocols in their possession. Could those protocols be the original source text for the 20th century Protocols of Zion as published in Russia? If that is the case, you can rest assured that Khazar was altered in Jew, Khazarian in Jewish, etc. The perfect text that would come in very handy as a trigger for anti-Semitism in the Russian Revolution and both world wars to turn the Jews into the ultimate scapegoats. The more we studied this subject, the more we came to realize how the Jews have been used by the Khazars throughout the ages to receive the blame of everything. Everything that went wrong, everything the high-ranked Khazars did to suppress the people, everything was blamed on the Jews. After all, for the outside world, the Khazars were Jews, remember?
So, you know, she is such a good documentary maker, and I urge everybody to go and watch everything she's produced on this channel, because she sums it up. I mean, I did not know that these protocols were 500 plus years old, but when we have context, as Janet is presenting, it becomes obvious how evil, deeply evil and long-term and clever this deception of the human race has been. And she is doing an amazing, amazing job. And, you know, remember, most of the things that you know or believe that you know were put there on purpose. This is the thing that people easily forget, and that's why they cling to the side of the pool, because they're going back to their indoctrination. And you know, we have a major job here to we all have a responsibility to raise our consciousness on a daily basis as much as possible, because what that does is it allows us to let go of everything. I mean, the fundamental tenet of Taoism is let go. You know, my whole the last 2 or 3 years of my life have all been about letting go of everything. Your ego, your supposed knowledge of the way the world works, physics, chemistry, it's all lies. Everything's a lie, you know, and this has been nothing more or nothing less than a war on consciousness. Okay, so which brings me to Graham Hancock. Now, Graham Hancock is one of my heroes, and Graham did a talk on TED. My God, was it that long ago? 7 or 8 years ago. And I remember watching this. It was called The War on Consciousness, and I'll just play a piece of it now.
Upon the Amanita muscaria mushroom, we have the DMT in the ancient Egyptian tree of life. We have the whole global cultures of surviving shamanism, and what it's all about is a state of consciousness that's designed to help us find balance, harmony. The ancient Egyptians would have called it Ma'at, with the universe, and to remain mindful that what we're here to undertake on earth while immersed in matter is fundamentally a spiritual journey aimed at the growth and perfection of the soul, a journey that may go back to the very origins of what made us human in the first place. And I stand here invoking the hard-won right of freedom of speech to call for and demand another right to be recognized, and that is the right of adult sovereignty over consciousness. There's a war on consciousness in our society, and if we as adults are not allowed to make sovereign decisions about what to experience with our own consciousness while doing no harm to others, including the decision to use responsibly ancient and sacred visionary plants, then we cannot claim to be free in any way. And it's useless for our society to go around the world imposing our form of democracy on others while we nourish this rot at the heart of society and we do not allow individual freedom over consciousness. It may even be that we're denying ourselves the next vital step in our own evolution by allowing this state of affairs to continue, and who knows, perhaps our immortal destiny as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I highly recommend you go and look up, I'll put a link in the show notes, Graham Hancock, The War on Consciousness. This was banned at the same time as a talk by an amazing guy called Rupert Sheldrake, who talked about the morphic resonance field, which is also something I highly recommend you go and look into. And Graham here was talking about ayahuasca, peyote, magic mushrooms, and plant medicine being used as a tool to help us evolve our consciousness. And I do believe that these plants are all put there for a reason, to help us evolve our consciousness. And I believe the reason they've been demonized over the last 2,000 years is because of the very fact that they do help evolve your consciousness. And these Khazarians and Phoenicians, they understood all of this and decided to lock all this knowledge away from us and demonize these things so that we couldn't go there, and then poison the fuck out of us with an ultimate agenda of destroying us effectively, whilst keeping enough of us going so they could feed off us, because this is a soul harvesting farm that we've been born into. But you and I are here now because we chose to be here and we chose to assist in this raising of the consciousness. Now, I know I get a lot of emails of people saying, oh, it's really difficult. My husband, my wife, they're asleep, and, you know, I've got no money because the government's destroyed me, etc. This is why, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the last week sending free versions of the PDFs. And, I explained in the Abracadabra video that, I'm charging for some PDFs because I believe that there's some money should be going back to the contributors that are helping me spread the good word on this channel, hopefully. But if you can't afford it, I'll send them to you for free, which is what I've been doing. I've sent thousands of them out for free, and I've also sent people my guide on manifesting, because if you get that guide on manifesting from me, start using it, please, because you don't, being in a state of having no money is really a function of your consciousness and your belief system around money. It's like saying that Bitcoin is evil is a belief system. It's not. It's just another tool. And it's the same with the plant medicine. They're tools, right? The biggest spiritual journey that I ever had was actually through a breathing class run by an amazing woman in a forest in Watford a couple of years ago. I was out for hours. And by the way, if the person that helped me out during that breathing, Rebecca Dennis was the name of the woman that facilitated it, and she's written a book on it. I highly recommend you go and look up Rebecca Dennis. But there was a woman that was helping me during the process, and she whispered in my ear, "You're a warrior," right when I was in the middle of it. And if you I don't know who you are, but if you're watching this and you remember me, I want to thank you for that, because that gave me so much strength. And I want to say the same thing to everybody watching this. You are all spiritual warriors. That's why you're watching this. And we have a job to do, and we're doing it. And we're doing it really, really well. And you've got to look inside your heart to know that these incredible things are happening. So before I get to things like Matt Hancock's arrest and Jasara being brought in, there's a couple of things I want to show you there, but I think it's important to watch this first. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. This is Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And I love this version of it because it's in clay. And this really does go into, this really explains what's going on right now. And I think it will give you a lot of strength to watch it.
Imagine prisoners that have spent their entire lives chained deep inside a cave. They have been chained so that they cannot see behind themselves, and they are forced to stare endlessly at the cave wall in front of them. Behind them, a fire is burning, and between the prisoners and the fire is a raised walkway. Now imagine that each day, a menagerie of objects crosses the walkway. Animals, people carrying their wares to market. Their shapes create an intricate shadow play on the wall in front of the prisoners. This is the only world that the prisoners have ever known. The shadows, the echoes of unseen objects. Now, imagine that the prisoner is released. After some time adjusting to the blinding light, the freed prisoner will begin to experience the world outside of the cave for the very first time. And it is like nothing he could have ever imagined. With his new perception of the world, the man will of course want to return to his friends to share his incredible discoveries. But the prisoners cannot recognize their old friend. He appears as all things do. His voice is a distorted echo, and his body is a grotesque shadow. They cannot understand his fantastic stories of the world outside of the cave. To them, it will never exist. This, of course, does not make the world outside of the cave any less real.
And I just love that version of that story. Did you notice the line, it took him some time adjusting to the blinding light? You know, I think that's what's happening at the moment, is that some of us are adjusting to this new light that's coming into the earth, this new DNA sequence, this ascension process is, you know, over the last 3 or 4 days, I personally have felt a little bit like lost, and a lot of people have been saying similar things, like they feel like they're floating, or they're not quite here. I'm getting that from lots and lots of people, and I think it's because we are adjusting to maybe one of the things we're having to let go of is time, because I think I mentioned this earlier already, but you know, time is definitely changing and has been changing for quite a while. And I don't think it's just because I'm getting old that it seems to be, for all of those who put something cheeky on saying you're going to be over 35 and time goes quicker. You know, my 16-year-old son is noticing it. So, you know, that's anecdotal, but that's as good as we've got. And my intuition is telling me that we, you know, this whole 3D to 5D thing is really, really fascinating to me. I've been trying to work out what 5D is for years now, and I was watching Janet's, I can't pronounce her surname, let's go back to it, Osbard. Janet Osbard did a brilliant interview the other day with somebody on YouTube who I think is called the Revolution Network. Dr. somebody, can't remember. He's really good, and I apologize for forgetting his name. I've just got so much information, I can't retain it all. And they were laughing because they get asked about 5D a lot, and they both said, well, we don't really know much about it, so we don't answer the question. And then they went into 20 minutes basically explaining what 5D is, which is, you know, it's basically living in the frequency of love, which means turn off your TV, stop reading the national newspapers, meditate, eat organic food, go barefoot on the grass, ground yourself, surround yourself with people that you love, and remember the allegory of the cave, because, you know, I believe in the original story that the other prisoners actually kill him, but I just really like that clay animation version. I've been watching and sharing that for maybe 10 years. Yeah, 2008 that was put up. So, you know, this really well worth. Plato knew something. He knew a few things. So I'm moving on to this is Michael O'Bernas, I don't know, Benasia, right? And this is his blog, the Benasian.net, and he's a very interesting guy, and I'm very pleased to see what he's doing. He's calling out. Michael has, I think, as far as I understand it, he's a critically acclaimed, you can see it there, comedian, playwright, filmmaker. And then he got into exposing the scam of the mortgages, right? Mortgages are a scam. All debt is a scam, right? You know, this is why Jesus said, got rid of all the people making loans in one of those stories in the Bible. But also, it is actually illegal. You know, this is why I put the word usury. I think I misspelled it, but I put the word usury as one of the chains that held down men in my poem, The Best Is Yet to Come. And Jasara, and Nasara is allegedly going to be getting rid of all debt, which is going to be quite extraordinary. And maybe that's what Donald Trump meant when he said the best is yet to come, because, and there are certain things going on here. So what Michael has been doing is he's got together with a load of barristers that were waiting for somebody like him to come along to start exposing COVID for the nonsense that it is. And this is from a few days ago, but it's basically he's created this thing called the People's Union of Britain, and a prosecution against Matt Hancock, who's I think he's the health minister in the UK, and basically everybody in the UK hates him. He's a bit like the UK's version of Fauci in a way. Just been coming out with extraordinary bollocks for the last 6 or 7 months. But he's been sent a warrant applying for his arrest. We've already got the green light from the court's legal advisors, and now we have the Chief Magistrate's permission to proceed. They also sent us the form to fill out for the arrest warrant, which has now been acknowledged by the same as having been received. However, the form won't be processed till Monday, which is today, when it will be sent up to the Crown Court to be administered and then served upon Hancock without delay by the arresting officers, who will soon be appointed by the court. Therefore, the case will now proceed as directed, unless the Director of Public Prosecutions intervenes, which is unlikely because nobody will want to take the poison chalice. However, if they do, we can object on the ground that the DPP is working for the government, so they are obviously conflicted. If they refuse to back down, we will insist that the case proceeds with our legal name. In other words, my family, friends, and growing army of peacekeepers and freedom fighters, we are all about to witness the most significant events that have transpired on these shores since Charles I lost his head. Words cannot simply adequately express the truly humbling experience of the love, support, and commitment I've received from people who all tell me that my words have moved them, inspired their hearts into resisting this tyranny for the sake of our children and grandchildren. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for rising to the call. Very soon our number will be millions. And by the way, while I'm reading this, I'm getting the thing, right? I'm getting the buzz. This is truly our moment to seize the opportunity to build an advanced civilization on the rubble of the corrupted one, which is crumbling around us by COVID-1984 design. In other words, fuck the Great Reset, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and fraudulent debt-based slavery. In that new civilization, we will protect the unalienable birthrights of the individual from the tyranny of the collective to become truly self-governed under the common law as expressed in Magna Carta 2020, an idea whose time has come. From now until you see the arrest live streamed on the mainstream and alternative media worldwide, let's make hashtag arrest Matt Hancock go viral on every platform to the point where the people are chanting it in the streets nationwide. So today's a big day in this respect. Somebody put on one of the WhatsApp groups this morning, I've just seen Matt Hancock looking very happy on Good Morning Britain. What's going on? Look, I don't know exactly how true this is. I feel it's true, but I haven't been there and seen the documents, right? So there's that kind of, this is what I mean about trusting intuition. Intuitively, I believe that this guy, Michael, is performing a wonderful task on behalf of all of us, and we should all be very grateful and be supportive. I also know that things like the public prosecution thing that you mentioned there, there will be tentacles reaching out to slow this down and to stop this, but nothing can stop what is coming. Remember that. Nothing can stop what is coming. And I'm telling you, I know that to be true. We are going to be victorious. In fact, we already are, but to help it on the way, you've got to raise your consciousness and keep working on it. So I'm going to finish up here with a great video that Charlie Ward did yesterday with Joe Hull. And it was so great to see this because I think Joe's just uncovered something brilliant about Nasara Jassara. So I'm just going to let them speak for themselves for a second.
All this on my page. The media do not and cannot call the president, the new president. So I'm going to go into something that I've found that I'm quite excited about. I could be totally wrong. This is where we do our little digging. Maybe people who are watching might want to dig a bit further and prove me wrong, because I could be wrong, I don't know. But Charlie, how we know patriots, the white hats, the good guys, are in control. And they've been putting every little step of this movie in place, and they've been in control. And they've been doing things that are very naughty, as you know. And those that know will be watching this and go, not watching this, but watching things happen and play out and going, that can't be the deep state. It's that ridiculous and that funny. It's got to be the white hats. And there's been things over the last month that are just so outrageous that you just think it's got to be the white hats playing a joke, because it can't possibly be the deep state. They're not that stupid. They know the law. They have their legal side. They know everything. So I've been watching and laughing and thinking, okay, that's got to be the white hats doing this. It's got to be, because it's so ridiculous. So because the letter before R, nearly said it, always says, look here, not there. So I've been doing that. I've been looking at other places and not what's actually going on. So we're all focused on this election at the moment. Everybody's, totally in there. So the other day, you probably saw that on Donald Trump's Facebook page, it got changed to Donald Trump. I'm going to hold it close. Political candidate.
Candidate, yep.
Right, so this all ties in with where I'm going. So just bear with me.
No, I get that.
So political candidate, not the president, political candidate. So we had the election on the 3rd of November. So I was snooping, as you do, And I noticed, which you will probably, and some people probably have found this already, but I noticed the executive order which was put out on the 2nd of November. Can you remember what that is, Charlie?
No, go on.
Right, well, I'm going to, if you don't mind me reading a little bit.
Please do.
So this was what I think people have missed. Excuse my glasses. I'm just going to hold it up there so you can see. Just the top bit, where are we? So the executive order on establishing the President's Advisory 1776 Commission. Now on Twitter a few days ago, somebody put 1776, which was, we know July the 4th, it was the USA declared independence. So 1776 will do away with 1984, which obviously we know we're in this 1984 nightmare at the moment. So I just thought, well, that's interesting. It caught my attention. So I thought I'd just have a quick read. Now, bear in mind, this was done on November the 2nd, the day before the election. So I'm going to read a couple of sentences out of the whole executive order. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. So you can go and research yourself on this one. But section 1, I want you to think about what it reminds you of, because I started giggling when I was reading this. Section 1, purpose. The American founding envisioned a political order in harmony with the design of the laws of nature and the nature's God, seeing the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as embodied in the sanctioned by natural law and its traditions. The formation of the Republic around these principles mark a clear departure from previous forms of government, securing rights through a form of government that derives its legitimate power from the consent of the governed, which is really important. Throughout its natural life, our republic's exploration of the meaning of these principles has led it through the ratification and constitution, civil war, the abolishment of slavery, thank you, reconstruction, and a series of domestic crises and world conflicts. Those events establish a clear historical record of an exceptional nation dedicated to the ideas and ideals of its founding. So that was one bit. So my ears pricked up there because I thought, well, that reminds me of something. That reminds me of Nasara, which we'll come on to. And then I read down, there's a few other bits, and then I read down, it says the President's Advisory 1776 Commission, within 120 days of the date of this order, alarm bells, ding, 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 because we know Jasara Nasara, which is the National Economic Security and Recovery Act.
Yeah.
We know that they have to announce it within 120 days. So that straight away got my, forget the education thing, that straight away got my attention.
So I think Joe's hit the nail on the head there, and I'll leave a link to that video in the notes below, because you should go and watch all of it. And Joe, great work, amazing stuff. So yeah, this is consciousness rising. It's you know, people are saying that they're experiencing huge high levels of anxiety and nervousness and fear, and the only answer is trust the plan. Well, trust yourself. Yeah, you are a fractal of God. God is within you. Trust yourself first and foremost, and do whatever it takes to get yourself into a state of harmonic frequency with love, whether that's 432 Hertz meditation, whether that's going for a walk in the woods, sitting next to a tree, the energy of the tree harmonizes you, getting some organites, getting a salt lamp, saging your house. I saged my house yesterday. All of these things are wonderful if you do them on a consistent basis. You know, celery juice, I talk about that. I also talk about cheese sandwiches. I've not bought any cheese for a few weeks, so because of the acidity of it. But just do whatever it takes right now to move yourself out of anxiety. CBD oil is fantastic for removing anxiety or reducing it. If you've never tried it, go and get. There's a link below to a shop that I recommend for zeolite as well, removing heavy metals. Fantastic. And they sell CBD there as well, and all sorts of good stuff. Touchstone. So yeah, that's all I've got time for today, because I've actually got some work to do. So I hope you found that useful, and good luck. It's we're getting there. We are certainly getting there, and I feel we're accelerating, and it's going to be crazy. We got some. I think we've not seen any. I think like Ronald Reagan said, "You ain't seen it. You ain't seen nothing yet, Nancy." So we've got quite a bit of a way to go. This is really just the beginning, but we are definitely ascending, and it's up to all of us to get armed with as much knowledge as you need to give you that kind of state of relaxation that is required for you to vibrate at a high frequency. Keep those entities away. Ignore them. Most of the entity stuff is fear-based. Okay, get over the fear, because it's just basically like horror movies. It's just shocks and awe to try and get you into that state of fear. It's not real. Okay, they haven't really got the power. You have the power. You are the power. You are the leader that you've been looking for. Go back through some of my videos. You'll see I've been consistent with this message. But for now, I just want to say I love you all, and appreciate you all. And I'll see you soon. So take care.